Well, one of my harebrained ideas finally worked out pretty damn well, actually. So I made some 2-to-1 syrup, and of course there's some girls in here trying to get early taste of it. So here's my tank of syrup steaming, and a mixer will run when my pollen patty mixer's running. It's just pretty loud for talking. But what I did, I put a water tank heating element, goes clear inside there, and then I ran my outlet out, goes around through a little pump, and then back up and in, so it'll recirculate and draw it past that heater. And then I've got an outlet off it also that'll power this hose. So when I was taking that wet sugar out of the barrels, I was able to add the hot water into it. And I just checked it a minute ago. It was at 111 degrees. Open that valve up a little more, let that pump work now that it's getting thick. So I started with that tank with one barrel of sugar was in it, and the water, and it was 52 degrees this morning. I put another barrel of cold sugar in it, and we're now at 111 degrees. I also made this as a secondary heater, but I burned it out. So I've got a 2-to-1 adapter, threaded adapter, and the water heater element will thread in from the back side. So I gooped it up good with pipe dope and then put it in here, and I went with a 45-degree angle, and it should have been a 90, because then I could have lowered it lower without hitting the bottom of the tank, because at 2-to-1 there's not a lot of water going in that tank. What happened was I had the water up fine on it to start, and as soon as I started pumping some out into the barrel to help dissolve the sugar, some of it got dry, and I smelled it, looked over, and it was glowing red, and it burnt this out. But I ran the cord on up. I just went and bought a 10-gauge extension cord and cut it into all the parts and pieces I needed. So it runs up and out the tube, which I haven't silicone and cleaned it up yet, sealed that tighter, but the hole's really tight to start. And I've got 220 plug that comes out here. Yeah, I'm gonna get a cover on it eventually, right? And so I can plug in one or both heaters and run them. And this worked really, really slick. I mean, to be able to get that water that warm and dissolve that sugar at 2-to-1, that was pretty amazing. It'll be a lot better if I'm not using this dirty sugar that I have to store in barrels. That's a pain to get out. If this was a bag situation, the mixer would be going, the heater element would be on, and I'd just be pouring bags of sugar in there till it was dissolved. And it would go pretty darn quick. So anyway, that was a success. Not all of my ideas and concoctions are, but I'm pretty happy with that. And eventually, I'm probably going to insulate this tank, set up and get it insulated well, and build a lid that'll go on it and insulate. So that it'll hold the heat even better. And then I'll get all of my pump and everything else mounted on a pallet where I can take it around, and my electrical will all mount and hang, and probably some switches so I can turn things on and off, and we'll get it set up right. At least that's my plan at this point, but you guys know how often I get around to most of that stuff. But I've got the mixer running again, and got some nice pollen patty, pollen sub mixed up. So I need to get it pushed out, and then I'm going to try to get this tank of syrup on my truck today and get out and get it fed. We got rain coming tomorrow. And I don't know if you noticed, but I put a little shed in front of my place, and I've got metal for just the roof, but I wanted to put this tarp on it so it wouldn't drip on me inside here. And then I wanted some walls too, so the tarp comes down to cover some walls. This will give me a little more covered area where I can get the Herky Turtle going. Even when it's raining, I can get my pickup in and do some work on it, because all the pickups need some work. So anyway, with that said, I think I'll go get my tank and get it on the truck. I'm going to get ready to see if I can get these girls fed before it gets wet.